Hare Krishna, my name is Jvalamukhi. This is video number 29 in the J-File series of my book, Mahaprabhu and the Destiny of the Universe, the Golden Age, the Great Sinister Movement, and the Firewalk of the Hare Krishna Kid. This next one is going to be quite a doozy. It's fairly long. I'm going to try to get through it as legibly, audibly as possible, but hold on to your seats for this one. It's a bit of a challenge. My mother has lots of old photo books lying around. I can't really even look at them sometimes. I feel all these emotions coming up and my stomach turns. I found an old BTG magazine with an article about Beth that was written by Upadrutya Devidasi's daughter. I started to read it and began to lose my cool. I was at Mom's house, so I couldn't afford to freak out. My husband hid the magazine from me so I wouldn't have a meltdown on our date that evening. I mean to read it tomorrow. That day, out of the blue, Mom brought up Beth's drowning all of those years ago. Then I found the magazine article. I took it as a sign from Krishna that something needs to happen about her murder. I prayed for his guidance. This one is not going to be easy. Her siblings are all my friends. Her mother is a long-standing, albeit enabler, nice as she is. So I have here some musings. You know how the mind says things. It's like, oh, if I meet so-and-so, what am I going to say? So here I wrote one thing that says, if I met the mother again, I would say, hey, my dad murdered your daughter. Not sure what how that's going to go over, but how do I, as my teacher says, cause no pain? We're trying not to cause anyone pain, but yet the truth has to be spoken. If the truth stays buried, it makes us sick. If it comes out, well, I don't know. My friend was here from DC. She took the seminar that Mahaprabhu offered at the time. Now she offers a better version called Uncovering the Soul. More appropriate, it teaches one how to navigate one's subtle inner terrain and be the master and witness instead of the harassed passenger in one's own body and mind. Self-control. Here we come. It is kind of funny, all of this heavy, heavy stuff. It's old news to me already sometimes. I just want to go on with my business and be happy. But there is a big responsibility with all of the knowledge I have been given and the ability to know how to read people's innermost hearts through mastering subtle energy field techniques called entrainment. Big responsibility. I don't even want to go back into processing. This feeling means it's going to be a good one. Where there is resistance, there is denial. I will surrender to neither. I have an appointment in 2 days. Ugh. I smacked my son today. Not hard, but I still smacked him. This is not me. This is not good. I feel something coming up in me. I am being really, really angry all the time, especially with my children. Things that ordinarily wouldn't even register as a problem are now setting me off. Just below the surface, anger sits, just waiting for something or someone to blow up at. My dharma is singing and performing. Last night I got to perform at the UF's auditorium with Badahari and Godfrey Townsend Band. I was so, quote, high on happiness. We sang Hare Krishna and a bunch of Beatles songs. I ran into Hare Krishna Prabhu and his wife. It still feels weird seeing them. I took formal vows of initiation from Hare Krishna when I was 18 years old while living in Stockholm, Sweden. But now, he was no longer a sannyasi, a guru renunciate, but had married a disciple who left her third or fourth husband to be with him. Hare Krishna had had a nervous breakdown at that time, quite understandably, but it was still strange talking to him. Back in the day, he was put on such a high pedestal by those around him. It was like talking to the Pope or something to get a word in back then. You felt so, quote, blessed just having him glance your direction. The Guru Dev's mercy, better called Gurupi cult of personality, rather. The sad thing is, I don't even think he remembers me, you know. I pledge my life to worship Krishna, follow all the rules and regulations, and look to the bona fide representative of the lineage of saintly teachers in Srila Prabhupada to lead me back home, back to Godhead. And on his part, he didn't even remember me or the initiated name that he had given me. It gave quite some tinge of irony to the standard prayers for the Guru we used to sing about him daily. You are my Lord and Master, birth after birth. Maybe the Guru thing could use some revisiting. I only accepted initiation from him because he always spoke of the only one I ever thought of while growing up as Guru, Srila Prabhupada. Oh well, back in 1998, when all hell broke loose with his departure from his post and having an affair with his disciple, I went in front of the Srila Prabhupada Murti and offered my respectful obeisances to the goddess of the illusory energy, Maya Devi. If someone like him, with all of his advancement and all of the personal time spent with His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, could succumb, then who was I? At that time, I was very grateful that I was a nobody without any learning, position, or money. No one, quote, shot at me. No one even really saw me. I was safe and insignificant. May it always remain this way, I thought. May I never be ensnared by these tricks of Maya. I had a lot of respect for the power of sex attraction then. I prayed to be saved from this pitfall by truly experiencing the sweetness of Krishna and his sweet holy names. Several years later, after I had had a conversation with him on the phone, I put two and two together. Hare Krishna had his infamous nervous breakdown after he started cleaning up the holy land of Sridham Mayapur from pedophiles. He was kicking them out left and right. I guess he crossed the wrong person. Black Tantra, black magic is a very real thing. Millions of people around the world practice it. Around the world don't do it for no reason. He wasn't rightly situated in his sannyas ashram. He wasn't strong enough, or maybe this was part of Krishna's plan for his purification. He didn't know the belly of the beast and what he was dealing with. And they got him. At least he's still alive. Let's see what Krishna's plan is, what Hare Krishna's free will is. I went up to his wife to arrange a meeting with them at their home sometime. I told her of my unusual dream. The other night, I dreamt that Mom was sitting with Grandma and Granddad at a picnic table here in the temple pavilion. He was his old self and about to die, with mushy consciousness, Alzheimer's. This was going to be his first and only opportunity to visit the temple and see Krishna. In my dream, I had no compassion for him. I just wanted him to die and didn't care if he was helped to go to the temple or not. I chose to sit at a picnic table with Dad for a few minutes instead of with Granddad and Grandma or Mom. Even in my dream, I was amazed that I could tolerate Dad's presence even for that long. Then I moved to the table where Hare Krishna Prabhu sat. I reintroduced myself to him because I didn't think he would remember me. I gave a brief overview of the abuse that I've experienced, and he thought for a while and then gravely said, "Take these people to court." Last night, after the concert, we came home after a fun time with the kids at Krishna House and eating gelato out at a quaint restaurant in Gainesville. The boys fell asleep in the car on the way home. I am so grateful for them. Thank Krishna for my beautiful husband who knows what's really important: ice cream. I was trying to be present in my body to be able to reciprocate the loving advances of my dear, gentle husband, but I was having a very hard time. My husband and I lay together, but as he embraced me, somehow he touched me in the wrong way, and suddenly terror rushed over me, and I screamed and I struggled, and I could not catch my breath. What kept repeating itself in my head was, "Daddy, don't let them take me. Daddy, don't let them take me. Don't let them take me." I cried and wailed as quietly as I could as I lay next to my husband as I cried and wailed as quietly as I could as my husband swaddled me in a blanket. The reality of being gang raped was catching up to me. I was back in the prasadam room line in Los Angeles, California. I was 2 or 3 years old. The scene became more vivid. I was being taken by some ill-intentioned persons, and my father just let them. I was his ticket to being liked. Thanks, Dad. Jump back to last Wednesday. I had another session with Mahaprabhu. She was very tired and told me if I wanted to know a secret. She said she always gets attacked before our work together, every single time. Yet she is so saintly that she takes it as her service to help me despite the personal difficulty. Srila Prabhupada made it clear to her that the second generation are her service. I am so grateful. Actually, every single week, I had a Wednesday session, and every single Tuesday night, she basically didn't sleep all night because she was being attacked by all of the forces that wanted to come against her service to the second generation. All of the darkness that didn't want me to remember and to heal and to carry on Srila Prabhupada's movement and mission with all that I am. So, and she didn't tell me this for 2 years because she knew that if she had told me, I wouldn't want to cause her trouble and I would have stopped coming. So she waited for 2 whole years to tell me that. There are some very powerful energies that don't want any of what I am recalling to come to light. Mahaprabhu had nightmares and only slept for 4 hours. I could relate because I also had some nasty ghost dreams, something about business and blackmail and a ghost possessing me and making me do bad things, pulling him out of the water, his feet wrapped in plastic bags, and suddenly him entering my body and I throwing myself about to get him out. Horrible. I should have gotten up when I first woke up at 5 a.m. Because of this, we were both expecting a very heavy session. It was a little anticlimactic. No one died, like in the last session. It started out with a strong pushing-like sensation in my uterus, almost like experiencing transition labor. It was a full, painful, and somewhat sexual feeling. I was with a bunch of other Gurukul children, standing in line in the prasadam hall across from the temple in Los Angeles. As I write this, my stomach is going into knots, and I suddenly feel freezing cold all over, and I'm shaking. Maybe I should stop writing and scream. I'm finally alone. Also, sleep wants to overtake me, and I do not want to get out of bed. I closed my eyes. I see myself. I am around 3 years old, holding onto my father's hand and saying in a fearful voice, "Daddy, don't let them take me. Don't let them take me." Like a zombie, he does nothing. An old school friend of my father's from the same hometown came forward to take me. She is the one that introduced my father to Krishna consciousness. She was taking me to her yoga studio near the temple. There were others as well, some women, some men. Images of a tall black man dressed in a suit, odd and out of place for the Krishna community. Who were these men? They gathered in a circle. I was on the floor in the middle. It seemed like it was some adjoining room to the prasadam hall. I asked myself who the other children were. The answer I got was that it was time for me to focus on my own healing experience, and I was not going to see their faces, at least not yet. I couldn't help but think of their present struggles and how they don't even know why and what happened to them, why their lives are so hard, if they are still alive. The yoga teacher was holding a dark brown glass bottle of soda. She was naked from the waist down, and as she shoved the bottle in and out of my vagina, she was standing up and masturbating over me. She also made me sit up and forced my face into her crotch. The others who were standing around were really getting a lot out of this. The sexual energy was very high. It seemed to me that they were drawing satisfaction and power from milking my pain and perceived projected pleasure, as if I could somehow enjoy this, as if I were enjoying the gang rape. The repeated theme of this memory was, that I was the one who asked for it because I was such a little whore. I asked for it because I, quote, liked it. If I ever told anyone, then I would have to tell them that it was my fault because I liked it so much. My father would be kicked out of the temple, and I wouldn't want that, would I? Would I stop him from coming to see Krishna? I would be the cause of him not being able to come to the temple if I told. Now I understand why I was so painfully shy growing up. I was silent and just watched from behind my mother's skirt. There was danger everywhere. As far as I recall, the yoga teacher and the other woman were both doing something sexual to me in that ring of people, although I have a much clearer picture of my father's school friend. She seemed to have a powerful presence there. Then the doorway darkened, and two men entered the room. One of them, a man with lots of dark hair on his chest, lay his warm, heavy body on mine. He was naked. He raped me while the others looked on. As I write this, I feel the sexual stimulation. This unwanted, out-of-place sensation has become a confirmation for me of the validity of being raped, being told that I liked it. I may have been manipulated into having an orgasm because there were a few places in the session where I got a sense that the adults thought that I was the favorite one or, quote, special because I could be made to peak. Children were property. There was no crime committed, no harm done. And after all, I liked it, didn't I? What was the problem? At present, I have no more interest at all in any kind of sexual orgasm any more than itching a mosquito bite. I watch myself disassociate and feel nothing. I know this is an old protective mechanism. The root chakra is the first chakra. Its energy is based on the earth element. It is associated with the feeling of safety and grounding. What's that? It is at the base of the chakra system and lays the foundation for expansion in life, creativity, sense of self. I will work on it. It is hard to feel safe. It is hard to want to be in my body at all. What's the point, I wonder? But then I know deep down that this is not at all the way to transcend the material way of life, to make it null and void, to just disappear inside and call it, quote, detachment to myself as if I had some advancement in this area. No, I am just broken, that's all, not transcendental. There are two main responses to sexual abuse, macro or micro. I was frozen, not sure if I ever wanted to thaw out again. Too many crossed wires and misused philosophy battled me every time my poor loving husband and I were intimate. Krishna in my heart tells me that this is my path to transcendence, to heal enough to actually feel safe enough to genuinely make love to my husband of 20 years. Renunciation is real, not external. It is like eating enough and thus not feeling hungry. It is natural. It is not an agitated absence of something, but a fullness of love of God. People who are renounced for real do not think about sex all day and demonize women because of their unresolved lust issues. That is why marriage is sacred. In its safe structure, one can make genuine spiritual advancement gradually. That is one of the reasons I get so mad when I see affairs and husbands stealing. It takes so much time to work things out, so much time. It is great, great violence for others to interfere with the tenuous process of trusting another human being. How many times it would have been much easier for my husband to go hop the fence. He is a beautiful man after all, and not broken like I am. Yet he knows Krishna put us together. He is kind and patient. He is a real yogi, a real renunciate, not a pretender like all the ones still initiating so-called disciples. Not like the ones who raped me and the other children still wearing tilak and trying to fundraise for the big temple in Mayapur. The hairy man was not violent with me, if you don't count the rape, but somehow gentle. I didn't see his face at first. I found out later from another Gurukuli who knew how would know that he had gone somewhere overseas and studied how to sexually please a woman. And he did this dressed as a sannyasi with disciples. Yeah, so there was an initiating guru in ISKCON, one of the pretender people, who even while he was a so-called sannyasi and he was initiating disciples, went overseas and took a course on how to sexually please a woman. And when he came back, he solicited one of his god sisters to try to, woo her with his, quote, expertise in the matter. And of course, she happily obliged. Anyways, I could say something else, but it would be mean, so we'll just leave that out. Krishna will work it out. The two of them took turns. Beast was always like iron and menacing, cold, but this person was warm and more gentle, albeit super sick and twisted. He was also an ISKCON guru. He fell away from good standing many years ago, but I am proud to say he is making a real comeback by promoting himself as an upholder of the original books. Devotees are so forgiving, so gullible. Unless, of course, you are a second generation who dares to, quote, blaspheme the saintly gurus. Sorry about the sarcasm. It's funny how devotees are so eager to forgive and forget, oh, you had to fall down. Oh, well, you're rightly situated, come back. We won't blaspheme you, right? But did they ever put their feet at the head of the victims and cry from their heart like Jagai and Madai? Did they ever pick up stones and say, throw it again like Jagai and Madai? No, they didn't even admit what they did. So there's no question of forgiving them. There's no question of allowing them back in. Otherwise, it's just a satanic pedophile ring like the Catholic Church and all of the other bogus demon-infiltrated organizations that are called religion these days. What if devotees were so forgiving and loving of people who actually were sincere and who wanted to come forward? Funny how demons have no shame. They will do anything and everything to get followers and position. I wonder if they even learned the very first thing in Krishna consciousness, that there is life after death. Does it ever occur to them that their bill is coming due? Or are they just so covered over that they constantly forget that they have done sorry, I misread that. Does it ever occur to them that their bill is coming due? Or are they just like covered over so much that they constantly forget what they have done? Just like a fish, every 3 seconds, short memory. Now the people gathered around were really going wild in perverse sexual happiness. Then it was over. They were exhilarated. They talked among themselves in a mood of wonderment and satisfaction. My father's friend was saying, see, everything can be used in the service of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. There is no harm done because she liked it and was benefited. I wonder what I was supposed to get out of this. In their severely sick minds, they did this thing to gain power to use, quote, in Krishna's service. They felt very excited about this, like they were the elite, intelligent, empowered ones, sacrificing and working for the greater good of the world. I marvel at the potency of the Lord's illusory energy. It seems that they get the dark and light all mixed up, thinking that they are one and the same thing. Mayavadis, dangerous. Quote from Bhagavad Gita 16:6. O son of Pritha, in this world there are two kinds of created beings. One is called the divine and the other demonic. I have already explained to you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from me of the demonic. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. They say that this world is unreal with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. Following such conclusions, the demoniac, who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence, engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. Taking shelter of insatiable lust and absorbed in the conceit of pride and false prestige, the demonic, thus illusioned, are always sworn to unclean work, attracted by the impermanent. They believe that to gratify the senses is the prime necessity of human civilization. Thus, until the end of their life, their anxiety is immeasurable. bound by a network of hundreds of thousands of desires, and absorbed in lust and anger, they secure money by illegal means for sense gratification. The demonic person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future, more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and my enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I. I shall perform sacrifices. I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance, thus perplexed by various anxieties, and bound by a network of illusions. They become too strongly attached to sense enjoyment and fall down into hell. Self-complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, they sometimes proudly perform sacrifices in name only, without following any rules and regulations. Insert understanding of the Kali Chelas here with Dodi's, Tilak, and Sari's on. Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demons become envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in their own bodies and in the bodies of others, and blaspheme against the real religion. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demonic species of life, attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demonic life. O son of Kunti, such persons can never approach me. Gradually they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. I lay on the floor, my dress crumpled and hovering out of my body. There was a lot of fluid between my legs, and I was vacant, nauseous, numb. But I liked it, right? I didn't tell. I must have been about 3 years old. Of course, there was more. The story doesn't end here. I kept trying to breathe and re-enter my heart to allow the process to continue. I'm so drowsy now, I can hardly keep my eyes open. I slept so long this morning and last night. I know this is my body trying to avoid knowing something. The names of my ashram teachers repeated over and over in my head. Women. The 2 women I went to school with in Gitanagari. The names kept shouting at me around and around. Now I am really nauseous and my heart is pounding. False memory syndrome, my ass. They were both doing something to me sexually, with themselves masturbating. As I recall, there was also a bottle involved and something about how, in their words, little girls are best for effing. I was dull and unconscious. I don't know what the details were. I have a feeling my body knows, but my mind does not want to know too much. And here comes the old out-of-place sexual feeling. Yuck, 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 and more yuck. I saw myself in a warm-looking room with wooden walls and books lining the shelves. We were in Pennsylvania, at Gitanagari farm, where we lived when I was in the 5th grade. There was a large wooden rocking chair on which sat my ashram teacher's husband. She was off to one side of the room. She was watching in a mood of vicarious enjoyment, while her husband was naked and had me sitting on his lap, raping me. They both communicated how sweet and special I was, just right for effing. He loved to watch my face because, well, he could make me peak. Oh, so special. I was the favorite because, well, I'd already said it. And I loved it, didn't I? No harm done. All for service, you know. I'm going to be ill. The scene switched back to Los Angeles. I was up in a room with Rapist Altananda and Beast. I was intently studying a very interesting blanket that was from India. If I noticed enough detail about it, I would not see what was happening around me. It had 3 layers, burgundy, ochre, and beige. It was quilted and had ties all around the edges to hold it together so that it could be used for different temperatures. There was also a dulled silver, black, and bluish leaf-layered bowl that had water in it. I called it an oracle, where one could see the future. I don't know any more about it. The 2 men were acting very servile towards a 3rd man whom I do not know. He was, quote, the power broker. He seemed to me to be a host to the entity of the same kind with some connection to the artistic oracle bowl. Oh dear. I think I'm going to end there. it's just more hell coming up. But yeah, gosh, there were so many hell scenes, but through it all, each and every one of them, there were gifts of realization that came out. And on the other side of this, I feel completely cleansed, peaceful, and happy. So this is my diary. I'm sure there's a lot of blow by blow here that we could avoid, but I'm just reading it so that anybody who's interested to know the depth of evil that went on in the name of Srila Prabhupada and that is still present in the organization can actually get an understanding of what actually happened and what it takes to come to the other side, because hey, you too might have been affected. Even if you weren't in the organization, this material world's a really, really crappy place, and it's time to go home. Thank you for listening. Hare Krishna.